Welcome to Module 4, Session 7, Math Readiness. It shows that even as infants, children recognize mathematical concepts such as quantity well before they have any capacity to understand the concept of numbers. Toddlers even develop a basic understanding of counting, adding, and subtracting through daily activities and play. Parents and educators naturally build upon these early skills by pointing out numbers as they come up in the student's environment. I'm sure that the concepts like number recognition and counting have certainly been a part of your daily classroom routines and have worked their way into circle time, recess, story time, and other activities. This category covers a range of concepts that students must learn as they prepare to do math. The ARIS Math Readiness category divides the lessons into subcategories of geometry, patterns, numbers and counting, operations including basic addition and subtraction, measurement and data, and time and money. Just like reading and writing readiness lessons, most of these lessons are found in the Stage 2 lesson box, with the exception of a few geometry lessons. And also similar to the reading and writing category, ARIS is not designed to be a full math curriculum resource. Instead, it is intended to provide an introduction to the foundational math skills that will prepare students to enter other comprehensive math programs. The geometry subcategory primarily focuses on shapes, a critical part of early learning programs. There are 5 geometry lessons in the Stage 1 lesson box and 3 in the Stage 2 lesson box. The Stage 1 lessons are about identifying and sorting shapes and understanding how objects can be placed in relation to each other. The Stage 2 lessons include more advanced concepts like what characteristics shapes have, how shapes can be combined to make different shapes, and understanding the idea of half. ARIS includes a wide selection of shape manipulatives and flashcards to provide hands-on tools that will bring these concepts to life for your students in a fun way. The Patterns subcategory teaches students to identify and continue patterns in their environment. In the most basic terms, a pattern is a sequence created according to a rule. Understanding patterns is a critical foundational skill for learning more complex number concepts and mathematical operations. Patterns help children learn to make predictions and understand what comes next. Research shows that very young children, even infants, can spot patterns and that pattern awareness is a predictor of later math success. Luckily, patterns can be practiced in many different ways beyond traditional math lessons, including songs, games, and fun physical activities like hopscotch or dance routines that can get even the most reluctant learner engaged. There are 2 primary types of patterns that this lesson covers: repeating and growing. For deeper understanding of how to teach both of these pattern types, please visit the Skill Builder Lab on patterns. Next math subcategories is numbers and counting. Being able to count from 1 to 5 is something that some toddlers can do, but memorizing a string of number words does not mean a student actually understands what numbers mean. Reciting 1, 2, 3 is generally learned with little or no tie to the word's numerical value. It is more like memorizing the chant, fee, fi, fo, fum. We usually say that a child understands numbers when they can apply the cardinality principle of counting. The cardinality principle states that the last word uttered in a count expresses the number of items in the set being counted. But there are a number of steps on the path to understanding numbers to this level. The numbers and counting lessons in ARIS are designed to teach each skill necessary along this path. This foundation will serve as a bedrock from which they will build all of their future math skills in ARIS and beyond. The lessons in this subcategory progress from recited counting to number recognition, one-to-one correspondence, cardinality, and finally to ordinal numbers. Recited counting, often called rote counting, is where students recite numbers in a sequence from memory. As mentioned earlier, a child who can recite numbers does not necessarily understand that each number represents an item or that each item in a set is counted once. A child who has reached the recited counting level in the comprehension of numbers may look at a set of items, say the numbers in order, but touch one item twice or completely skip other items, failing to understand that the numbers pair to individual items in a set. Once your student can rote count to 10, you can start to introduce other lessons in the mathematics readiness category, like recognizing printed numbers or correspondence counting. Number recognition is the ability to identify and name basic numbers. We generally start with numbers 0 to 9. Once your student can recognize these numbers, they're ready to combine them to form larger numbers, and eventually learn to recognize, trace, and write numbers themselves. Next, ARIS introduces one-to-one correspondence counting, which is the idea that numbers correspond to specific quantities. When a child counts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dots on the die and jumps 5 spaces in a board game and gets 5 jelly beans when they win, they show an understanding that the number 5 always corresponds to a specific quantity, no matter what it is you are counting. We then move on to cardinality, which is the realization that the last number said when counting objects represents the total number in that set. When a child can count a set of items, touching each one in turn while counting, they are showing their understanding of one-to-one correspondence. If they can then state the total count, that's a sign they've grasped cardinality. This might seem obvious to us as adults, but it's a big leap for children to make. Teaching this requires a lot of repetition and gentle reminders that counting the same set over and over will always yield the same number. Ordinal numbers refer to the relative position of an object or number in a sequence. For example, the chips are on the third shelf from the top. The red flower is the seventh one from the right. The soccer ball is kept in the third bin from the left. The understanding of cardinal and ordinal numbers are related, with the comprehension of cardinality generally coming first. Once a student understands ordinal and cardinal numbers, they are ready to move on to operations. After your students have mastered the basic addition and subtraction lessons in ARIS, they will be ready to move on to more traditional math curriculum. ARIS operations lessons start with adding and subtracting using counter objects, and then progress to lessons that replace these manipulatives with an understanding of the actual concept of addition and subtraction. The Skill Builder Labs contain specifics on how to best approach these addition and subtraction lessons, taking you from the first step of counting all of the objects into sets up through understanding the basic math fact families. Very early in life, children have a basic understanding of quantity based on real-life experiences like who has more cookies. As their understanding of counting develops, they also come to understand addition and subtraction, even if they don't have a formal grasp of the concept or even know what to call it. As a reminder, ARIS is intended to provide an introduction to math concepts, not to provide a full math curriculum. When children begin learning about the attributes of an object, like its size, shape, texture, or weight, they are exploring early concepts of measurement. The most basic idea is for children to understand that items have features that can be measured and compared. Once they have this understanding, they can apply the ability to measure and compare other concepts in math and beyond. The lessons in the ARIS measurement and data subcategory therefore teach students to identify the attributes of an object and how those compare to the attributes of other objects. Independent, children must comprehend the abstract concept of time and acquire the practical ability to read a clock. Typically, children develop an understanding of time organically as they mature and observe daily routines and activities. Infants and toddlers become acquainted with the notion of time as they navigate through their daily routines, aligning with the schedules of their families and society. Preschoolers usually possess a rudimentary understanding of time, preliminary in an abstract sense. They begin to comprehend there are designated times for activities like snacks, play, and bedtime. Additionally, they start grasping elementary concepts of sequence, such as before and after. By the time children reach kindergarten, most of them can associate time with specific events. They also develop a basic understanding of dates on a calendar or following a structured classroom schedule. In ARIS, the lessons in the math subcategory for time focus on the practical concept of recognizing digital and analog time. All of these lessons are found in the Stage 2 lesson box. In the same way that understanding time helps build students' independence, understanding how money functions in daily life will also ultimately increase a student's ability to live independently. ARIS provides a very basic introduction to money in the money subcategory of lessons, focusing on recognizing and counting money, the basic skills that are foundational to understanding the more abstract concepts of money's function. These lessons teach students to receptively and expressively label specific coins and bills, identify the value of individual pieces of money, skip count so they can count sets of coins or bills, and how to add with money. As a reminder, ARIS provides an abundance of reproducible activity sheets that support the mathematics lessons. These sheets can be found in the spiral-bound books in your ARIS tubs and can also be printed from the ARIS user portal. This is the last category in the ARIS curriculum. The 7 ARIS categories build upon and support all the skills a student needs to be successful learning in the classroom and beginning academic instruction. Taken together, the variety of ARIS standards-based lessons with the whole child expansions, lesson progression, and skills generalization sections lets you adapt the activities to individual students into a variety of learning environments while reducing the possibility of gaps in a student's progress towards academic readiness. Thank you for joining us in all of the ARIS training modules.